Hello, friends. Hi, welcome back. I'm Dr. Anita Ziboh, and I'm so grateful you joined me again or for the first time. This is my first content podcast. If you saw the introduction, this is really a podcast in which my mission is to explore the incredible healing capacity that God designed our bodies with. And we know every day we have our cells and our systems that are constantly working on our behalf to repair, regenerate, to protect our bodies. But we also know that the environment exists with many toxins, many stresses. We get disease, we age, and so our systems need support. But what I also know, because I am faith-filled and because I am such a believer in God's gift to us to heal, that the Bible, and even the Bible said this, that God has made us to heal. And so we really need to explore what are some of those things that we're missing, that we're leaving out or forgetting about, that God put there for us. So that was what my journey was about, and I was thrust into it for some personal reasons, and I'll share in just a moment. But let me take you to a Bible reading that really shares this for you and for me. That's in Ezekiel, which Ezekiel is an Old Testament prophet in the Old Testament, and in Ezekiel chapter 47, verse 12. I'm not going to read the whole verse, since it's a couple sentences and probably more than I need to put in this short podcast. But the final sentence says what I feel is also important: is the fruit will serve for food, and their leaves for healing. So what the prophet is speaking of is the fruit that the plants and the trees and all the vegetation that God has put on this earth for us, that the fruit will serve for food, and that within that there will be leaves which we can use for healing. So there will be things that are put on this planet for us to use for healing. So what are some of those things, and how do we find them? Lots of people have done that. So God, in the beginning, created these herbs, these plants, these natural remedies, and they all were there just to have powerful restorative capacity. So how did my own search begin? I mentioned it briefly in the introduction, in which I said my mom was diagnosed recently with Alzheimer's disease, and very quickly after the diagnosis, she deteriorated and has deteriorated very quickly. And while I have this science brain, there was really nothing that could be offered to her because of her decline so quick. And it left me asking, first of all, my foundation will always be prayer, always be prayer. And within that, I found myself asking, what else is there? God, you put things on this earth for us to use. What can I use to complement this? And in all of that, I uncovered a molecule called carnosine. So now I'll dive into what this podcast is about, the remarkable healing capacity of carnosine. What is carnosine? It's a naturally occurring dipeptide. So it has two amino acids, beta-alanine and L-histidine. And for people who exercise, I'm sure they've heard of something called beta-alanine, and they've also heard of carnitine. This isn't carnitine. This is carnosine. Beta-alanine and histidine are bound together. They are found in high concentrations in skeletal muscle. That's why I refer to people that exercise a lot. May be familiar. But then more importantly for me at this time, in the brain. So what's fascinating about carnosine, as I did my research, I saw that there has been data to show that it's tied to lifespan, that when there are high levels of carnosine in cells, they seem to age more slowly. So what are some of those remarkable benefits? I have categorized them into 5, so here are the 5 benefits that I have uncovered, first of all, it's an antioxidant. We all know oxidative stress, or we've heard the word oxidative stress. Well, that's one of the biggest drivers of aging, and carnosine really acts to neutralize free radicals that cause this oxidative stress, and therefore can cause them to not be damaged. I don't think I said that the best, but anyway, to reduce damage to the cell. This was especially important because that oxidative stress is in the brain, and that damage occurs in the brain. So having that antioxidant effect in the brain, and a lot of things don't get into the brain, that's more important, but this is able to do it in that place. So the next thing is a heavy metal detoxifier. Again, it's found in the brain. A lot of things don't easily transport into brain, so the fact that carnosine does is a good thing. So what does it do? It can bind to some of those heavy metals that can accumulate in different places in the body, but particularly on our brain tissue or in our brain tissue, and this helps to detoxify from that. So number 3, one of the hallmarks that some people with Alzheimer's tend to have is something called beta amyloid plaque buildup. And what the carnosine can do is prevent some of these protein clumps from occurring. And so that, again, can support the brain health for a person with Alzheimer's disease. Number 4, this has to do with sugars. So advanced glycation end products, or AGEs. The carnosine can help prevent the AGEs from forming. And what they are when sugar binds to proteins, they develop something called advanced glycation end products. These compounds can damage the tissues, can damage mitochondria, and so therefore accelerate cell death. So carnosine can block the formation of those, again, supporting brain health. Now back to the athletes. In number 5 is for muscle support. So I said that people in the world of athletics may have heard of carnosine, or at least beta-alanine, because one of the things it's able to do is to reduce lactic acid buildup. And remember, lactic acid is one of those things that causes fatigue when you're exercising because of that built up in oxidative stress. So it improves endurance, it speeds recovery, and so this can be a powerful tool for muscle support. So that's another byproduct, which is nice because I am a person who enjoys exercise, so that was a nice additive with this. So you ask, is there science behind this? I did find many more animal studies, not too much in humans, that's a little bit fewer, particularly as it relates to the brain. But in animal science studies, what I did find was that there were studies showing improvements in memory, reduced oxidative damage, and then also slowed aging. So I will put some of those studies, if you're interested to look and really dive more into that area, I will put some references in the description of this podcast. So, to conclude, with my mother, what we ended up doing was adding the carnosine. Now, we did this slowly, so we did it as a single supplement. Just very quickly, there are some other things that moving forward we will probably also continue to do, but just wanted to share that we did add carnosine as a single supplement. Some other complementary things that can be done with carnosine are things like adding omega-3 fatty acids, which are always good for brain function, B vitamins, which are also supportive of energy, inflammation, things that reduce inflammation. And so, for example, something like curcumin that's able to reduce inflammation, or other supports of the mitochondria, something like CoQ10 for the mitochondria. It's only been about a month, hasn't been much time, but it's exciting at least to feel like there might be some hope. So now I know a question is, what supplements do you use? Where'd you get it from? Things like that. And I will say that was another part of my journey. As part of the journey was, okay, where do I get these supplements from? So looked around and uncovered, and I will talk more about this specific thing in future podcasts, but uncovered a company that is embarking on a new technology as well. Now, this is a red light technology, but the interesting thing is that the red light produces a wavelength that increases the body's carnosine. And this red light isn't external. It's actually in the form of a wearable technology, a patch, that allows it to be placed on the body in certain places on the body, and therefore produces a wavelength, increases carnosine, and does it with your body's own infrared light. So that was exciting. It was very simple to use for my mother, and so that's what we're doing. I will put more information about everything that I've talked about in the description. I also will talk more about this. This is just an interest to keep these podcasts fairly short, at least for now, as I get used to the whole concept of doing this and sharing this way. So let me leave you with this. First of all, carnosine is not an FDA approved treatment for Alzheimer's disease at all. It is a natural supplement. And the goal is that when we do have ailments or trying to stay healthy and well, there are ways to naturally support our bodies. And so that's what this is. And, for me, the hope was to find something out there that could support my mother, slow the decline, have her available and around for us to love on for longer. And that's where my hope is. And I want to thank you so much for joining me today. And feel free to reach out to me if you have more questions. I look forward to sharing more with you. And please share this message with anyone else you think could gain some insight from the information that I provide here. And until next time, stay healthy, take care, stay curious, and I look forward to seeing you again and learning more about how God designed us to do extraordinary things with wellness and healing.